Sigmax's network event recorder and hybrid digital event recorder system provides end users with the capability of remote monitoring via Sigmax's remote center software, web browsers, and even smartphones. This type of network data distribution truly expands users' surveillance locations and also allows simultaneous viewing of multiple sites. Enabling this capability requires understanding of basic concepts such as IP addressing and IP network structure. In this video, we are going to cover these topics. In the end, we will demonstrate how to configure network settings in a Sigmax system. Any device on the internet that wants to communicate with other internet devices must have unique Internet Protocol or IP addresses. To make a Sigmax system accessible on the internet, an IP address together with a subnet mask is needed. An IP address, typically represented as a dotted decimal, is technically a 32-bit long binary number. Here is an example of an IP address, 192.168.1.99. The binary format is cumbersome, while the dotted decimal format is just an easier way for humans to read and write IP addresses. The IP address is always paired with a subnet mask for use. A subnet mask, just like an IP address, is also a 32-bit long number. An example of a subnet mask mostly seen in private networks is 255.255.255.0 in dotted decimal format. It is used for subnetting, a process to divide a network into smaller subnets. The process effectively separates the network and subnet portion of an IP address from the host identifier. As shown in the example, a subnet mask 255.255.255.0 identifies a Sigmax system holding IP address 192.168.1.99 as part of the subnet 192.168.1.0. What IP address along with a subnet mask can be or should be assigned to a Sigmax system depends on the IP network structure, or more specifically, whether there is a private router that acts as the gateway for communication. In the case that there is a private router, the router determines available IP addresses and subnet mask, and the Sigmax system need only private IPs. Let's look at an example. Assume the router holds an IP address 192.168.1.1 and its subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Combined, these two 32-bit numbers decide that it supports up to 253 IP addresses for the local network, starting from 192.168.1.2 to 192.168.1.254. We normally recommend manual assignment of an IP address to the Sigmax system instead of leaving the job to the DHCP server in the router. This means that the IP address would be out of the DHCP range or IP pool managed by the DHCP server. Assuming the DHCP range starts from 192.168.1.100 and ends at 192.168.1.254, then one of the IP addresses between 192.168.1.2 and 192.168.1.99 may be specified on the system as long as it is not being used by any other computers in the same local network. In the case that there is not a private router being used, a public IP address, either static or dynamic, is needed from an Internet Service Provider or ISP for a Sigmax system to be accessible. This would involve the least configuration. Now we are going to show you how to specify IP information for a Sigmax system so it can seamlessly integrate into an IP network. From Sigmax System's live monitoring interface, go to SysSetup to enter System Setup mode. On the right, click on the Network tab to see the IP address section on the left for configuration. Next, click on Setup button to bring up the Network Connections window. In this window, click Local Area Connection to highlight it, and then go to the left to click on Change Settings of the Connection to see the Connection Properties window. Under the General tab, click on Internet Protocol TCP/IP, then choose Properties. To specify a static IP for the system, choose the second option, use the following IP address. Here we are going to use a private IP address 192.168.1.99 since the system is connected to the internet through a private router. And also, this IP address is out of the DHCP address range. We put in 255.255.255.0 and 192.168.1.1 for subnet mask and default gateway. In the case that there is no private router being used, a public IP address together with its subnet mask and gateway need to be entered in a similar way. For DNS server, it can be either the default gateway or a public IP address decided by an internet service provider. Lastly, click on OK and Close buttons to confirm the configuration. Close the Network Connections window and exit to Live View. Now an IP address has been successfully specified in a Sigmax system.